What if Easter Island was not destroyed by its own people? What if the world blamed the victims of one of history's loneliest tragedies? Behind the silent Moai statues lies a story far deeper, darker, and more misunderstood than most of us were ever told. Imagine a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so far from the rest of the world that the sea around it feels endless. Then, on this lonely island, you see them. Giant faces carved from rock, heavy brows, long noses, silent mouths, eyes that seem to watch the land, not the sea. They stand like guardians from another age, as if waiting for someone to explain what happened here. For many years, the world thought it already knew the answer. People said Easter Island was a warning. A small society cut down its trees, wasted its resources, built too many statues, and destroyed itself. It was a simple story, a powerful story. Maybe too powerful. But what if that story was wrong? What if the people of Rapa Nui were not foolish people who ruined their world, but skilled survivors who learned how to live in one of the most isolated places on Earth? What if the real tragedy did not begin with the statues, or even with the trees, but with the moment the outside world finally found them? Welcome to English Mindwave. Before we begin, please subscribe to support the channel and help keep these stories alive. Your support truly gives this channel the strength to continue. Today, we are going to Easter Island, also known as Rapa Nui. We will follow the mystery of the Moai, the giant stone statues that made this island famous. But this is not only a story about stone. And by the end, Easter Island may no longer feel like a simple warning about human failure. It may become a deeper story about what happens when the world looks at a people, but never truly listens to them. But before we can understand why Easter Island was misunderstood, we have to understand the people who found it. They were Polynesian sailors, some of the greatest ocean travelers in human history. Long before engines, metal ships, or modern maps, these sailors crossed the largest ocean on Earth in canoes built by hand. For days or weeks, the world around them may have looked like nothing but blue emptiness. To most people, that ocean would have felt like a wall. To them, it was a road. Their knowledge was not written in books. It lived in memory, songs, careful eyes, and wisdom passed from elder to child. They watched the stars. They studied waves, winds, birds, clouds, and currents. This was not simple travel. This was intelligence shaped by the ocean. Around the year 1200, a small group of voyagers reached Rapa Nui. Island tradition remembers a founding leader named Hotu Matua, who came with his new people to begin a new life. Whether every detail is history or legend, its emotional truth still matters. They brought crops, chickens, tools, and memories of another world. They planted sweet potatoes, taro, bananas, and sugarcane. They learned the volcanic ground, the limited water, the open wind, and the hard edges of island life. Rapa Nui was not generous in an easy way. It demanded patience, adaptation, and respect. And still, the first settlers stayed. Before the world saw Easter Island as a puzzle, these people saw it as a promise, a new beginning at the farthest edge of human courage. And once they learned how to live on this difficult island, they began to do something extraordinary. They turned memory into stone. The Moai were not just strange statues standing on a faraway shore. They were not decorations made to impress visitors centuries later. To the people of Rapa Nui, they were living faces of the ancestors, a bridge between the dead and the living. That is why most of them did not look out to the ocean. They looked inward, toward the villages, the fields, and the families who depended on them. Their backs faced the sea, but their eyes belonged to the people. Many of these statues began their lives at Rongorongo, a volcanic crater that still feels like a place caught between dream and history. There, faces remain half-born from the rock. Some statues lie unfinished. Some rise from the earth as if waking after a very long sleep. The work was slow. With stone tools, carvers shaped volcanic rock little by little. A face did not appear in one day. A body did not come free in 1 week. The statue had to be discovered through labor, patience, and belief. And when a Moai was finally carved, the hardest question still remained. How could it move? Some statues weighed many tons. Some had to travel across rough ground to reach their stone platforms, called ahu. For outsiders, this became one of the great riddles of Easter Island. Without wheels, metal machines, or large forests, how did the Rapa Nui move them? For generations, the islanders gave a simple answer. They walked. At first, that sounded impossible, but modern experiments suggest the old answer may have held a real memory. With ropes, balance, rhythm, and teams pulling from different sides, a statue could be rocked upright, step by step. Almost like a giant carefully walking across the land. A stone ancestor moving under the open sky. People pulling, singing, guiding, fearing, believing. Not a machine. Not a miracle. A community moving together. Maybe the true mystery is not how the Moai moved, but why the world found it so hard to believe in the intelligence of the people who moved them. And if the world was slow to believe how the Moai moved, it was even slower to understand what happened to the island that created them. For many years, Easter Island was turned into a simple lesson about human failure. The story went like this. The people cut down their forests, wasted their resources, became obsessed with statues, and destroyed their own society. It was dramatic. It was easy to remember. It gave the modern world a clear warning. But history is rarely that simple. Yes, the forests of Rapa Nui disappeared. When the first settlers arrived, the island had trees, including tall palms. Over time, those trees vanished. But to say the Rapa Nui destroyed their island only because of greed or statue building may be too easy, and maybe too unfair. They cleared land because they needed food. Farmers in many places have done the same thing. On a small island, every choice has stronger consequences, but that does not mean every choice was foolish. There was also another force at work: rats. The Polynesian rat may have eaten the seeds and nuts of the palm trees, stopping new forests from growing back. A forest can survive cutting if young trees return, but if the next generation is eaten before it can rise, the future of that forest becomes fragile. They did not simply stand on a difficult island and wait for hunger. They adapted. They built rock gardens, placing stones around crops to protect the soil from wind, hold moisture, and feed minerals back into the ground. They built circular stone shelters, known as manavai, to guard plants from harsh weather and salty air. They used caves and lava tubes as protected spaces where food could grow away from the open wind. To an outsider, a field of stones might look empty. To the Rapa Nui, it was technology. It was survival, made from the materials they had left. This is where the old story begins to crack. The island was not simply a monument to human failure. It was proof of human imagination under pressure. Maybe the world called Easter Island a failure because it did not recognize survival when survival looked different from its own idea of success. But if Easter Island was not simply a failed civilization, then we have to ask a harder question. When did the deepest collapse truly begin? The answer may have come from the sea. In 1722, European ships appeared near Rapa Nui. For the islanders, those ships must have looked almost unreal. Tall wooden bodies, white sails, metal tools, unfamiliar faces, and weapons that could kill from a distance. What began with curiosity soon became fear. Misunderstanding grew quickly, and violence marked one of the first meetings between the island and the outside world. But the most dangerous things that arrived were not always visible. Diseases could travel silently. A sickness carried by visitors might be survivable to one people, but devastating to another community that had lived in isolation for centuries. On an island where families, leaders, artists, farmers, and storytellers were all connected, every death was more than a number. It was a broken memory. It was a voice removed from the chain. Over time, many Moai were pulled down. We cannot know every reason with certainty, but the image is heartbreaking. These stone ancestors had once stood as protectors, facing the people. After waves of suffering from beyond the sea, perhaps their silence became unbearable. Perhaps the old world no longer knew how to explain its pain. Then came the 19th century, and the wound became deeper. Slave raids took many Rapa Nui people away from their island. Some never returned. Some who did return brought more sickness with them. The population fell terribly low, and the fragile living threads of culture began to break. One of those threads was Rongorongo, the mysterious writing system of Rapa Nui. Its signs remain on wooden tablets, but no one today can fully read them. A language of memory survived in wood, but the people who understood it were lost. So maybe Easter Island is not only a lesson about nature. Maybe it is a lesson about contact without understanding, power without care, and history told too quickly. The Moai still look across the island, and perhaps they are still asking us not to solve their mystery, but to listen before we judge. Easter Island leaves us with chains, but also respect. The people of Rapa Nui were ocean travelers, farmers, artists, memory keepers, and survivors. They crossed impossible distances. They carved ancestors into stone. They learned to grow food in a difficult landscape. They used rocks, wind, guts, and patience to survive where survival was never easy. Their story reminds us that human beings should not be judged too quickly. A person, a culture, or even a whole country can look broken from the outside, while inside there may be courage, intelligence, and a long history that strangers do not see. Before we judge someone, we should ask what story we do not know yet. Before we call someone weak, difficult, or strange, we should remember that every person is carrying a history. In our modern world, where opinions move fast and people are judged in seconds, Rapa Nui asks us to slow down. Listen first. Understand more. Judge less. Because sometimes the truth is not hidden because it is far away. Sometimes it is hidden because we never took the time to look with compassion. What do you think Easter Island teaches us most? To protect nature, to respect culture, or to judge people more slowly? Please share your thoughts in the comments so everyone can learn from each other. And if this story helped you see history in a deeper way, please subscribe to English Mindwave to support the channel and help us continue creating more meaningful stories like this.